This story is about Siddhartha Gautama. He was born in 560 BC into the family that had worldly power, and he was destined to become a king or Buddha. His father, however, wanted him to become a king, so he pampered his prince and made him grow up in a luxurious lifestyle and sheltering him from society. Gautama's views changed, however, when he experienced the four passing sights. Gautama first witnessed an old man. This showed him the fate that was in store for everyone. Next, he saw a diseased man. Then he saw a corpse for the first time, and with this he learned of death. Gautama went to seek a religious ascetic, and with this he experienced his fourth passing sights, which gave him hope for overcoming his despair. At 29, Gautama gave up his life as a prince and went through the great going forth. During this time he practiced starvation, but later realized that it had no real relevance, so he experienced his middle way. Once he was fully prepared, Gautama sat in lotus position beneath a fig tree, and he decided never to leave the spot until he could reach fulfillment. Mara, the god of death, however, found out about this and decided to tempt Gautama with his 3 daughters. None of these techniques worked, and Gautama simply touched the earth to call it to its witness. The simple gesture defeated Mara and made him and his daughters go away. Now that Gautama was not to be distracted, he experienced a meditation and went into trance. Throughout the night, he experienced his 3 watches. The first watch was him reflecting his previous lifetimes. The second watch was when he saw death and rebirths of all living things. The third was when he discovered the 4 noble truths. These were the truths of: to live is to suffer, suffering is caused by desire, suffering can be brought to cessation, and the solution to suffering is the Eightfold Path. Once Gautama understood everything, he passed on his knowledge to others, or arhats, or worthy ones. 45 years of his life, Buddha kept teaching. Sanghas were made, and many people wanted to become a full Buddha, but they had to recite the 3 jewels. I seek in the Buddha, I seek refuge in the Dharma, and I seek refuge in the Sangha. At age 80, Buddha ate spoiled food and unfortunately became very ill. His final words were, "All the constants of being are transitory. Work out your salvation with diligence." Gautama ascended into meditation and into a state of tranquility, and he then passed into nirvana.
This is Dharma Talk
with Penny and Ivanna.
Our Dharma talk today is about right action.
Right action is basically the path and direction that we're encouraged to move with.
And it's kind of our way of progressing in the world and being able to be a work in progress that's determined by how we engage and act.
We can practice right action through appropriate saying, thinking, speaking, acting, working, engaging, reflecting, and concentrating, and so much more.
It's not just about what's right and wrong in the way of morality, but it's also what actions tend to make us happy and what actions tend to make us suffer.
The acts of suffering are unskillful and don't support happiness or freedom.
Instead, we have to ask ourselves questions like, what supports moving away from suffering? Or what moves us towards freedom from suffering?
When we find those answers, it teaches us about connecting with others to bring us into relation, into the Word, and toward peacefulness and harmony.
Okay. And once we reach that, we live more at ease, practice good karma, act in ways that cause no regrets, and not spend endless amount of time evaluating our behaviors in our heads.
Our actions are influenced by the 5 hindrances. These are the classical hindrances to meditation practice and in a sense affect whether or not we practice right action. 1. Desire, clinging and craving. 2. Aversion, anger, hatred. 3. Sleepiness, sloth. 4. Restlessness. 5. Doubt.
How we act, our actions follow certain guidelines, and it follows an ethical component that leads us to bliss of blamelessness, which is a gift from fearlessness to others.
Actions of ethics is no harming to self or any other being. Another guideline would follow the 5 precepts where an ethical life is founded on these standards of conduct. This is refrain from killing, from stealing, sexual misconduct, false, harsh speech, and intoxicants that cloud the mind.
Now, there's also a story that relates to right action, and it's about Angulimala. He was a person who killed huge amounts of people and planned to kill the Buddha. When the Buddha heard about Angulimala's plans, he intervened and stopped him from what he was going to do. By being enlightened by the Buddha and converting into Buddhism, Angulimala decided he wanted to become a monk and practice under the Buddha. Now, during this time, he meditated with the Buddha, and through his mind, he felt very awake and had a change of his own personal actions and behaviors. And what the moral of the story teaches us is that anyone can change their mindset. They can purify any unskillful mind, even if it's immersed in a negative direction. So finding our right action is better than just living your life when you're not living it right.
These ideas were mainly about how we progress in the world through our actions.
The actions we choose to go with are the ones that we personally understand as right or wrong, instead of someone else determining our own fate.
The actions we choose to act through reflect how we should live our life by the actions that tend to make us more happy, or by the actions that put us through suffering and life of dukkha.
With that in mind, it leads us to key questions like, is this benefiting me, or am I hurting from it, and am I happy?
Overall, the practice of right action helps cultivate qualities into our minds and later become part of our hearts.
And that's our Dharma talk.
Before we start our meditation, we will be handing out post-it notes, and during our meditation, we will use them to release our stress and meditate. Now, lightly grasp the note with your hands. Plant your feet on the ground and sit up straight, but be comfortable. Relax all the muscles you are using right now in your face. Release the tension in your eyebrows, from your eyelids, in your cheeks, in your mouth, and in your jaw. Take 2 breaths in. As you take a breath in, exhale and relax your diaphragm. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Now as we inhale, through each breath in, accumulate all the stress and worries that have been cluttered our thoughts and simply gather them to the top of your head. Let us breathe and feel the energy course up from our chest to our shoulders, up our neck, past our ears, and now within our minds. Acknowledge these worries and thoughts, for we are now to let these thoughts go. So breathe in the stress and hold it in your head. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Now that we have this negative energy circling in our mind, let us begin to cleanse them through each exhale.
Breathe in and breathe out and feel the negativity travel back down. First in our ears and past our jaw, down our neck and through our shoulder blades. Let it travel down our biceps and triceps, our elbows, our forearms, and into our wrists and hands. Feel the tension traveling into our fingertips and into your Post-it note. Each negative thought leaving your body and onto the note. Now, let us collect ourselves and slowly open our eyes. During this time, we will now write down all the negative thoughts and actions onto the Post-it note. Now, someone will come around with the garbage can so you can throw away all the negativity.
Like a Buddhist, you start to feel more